well, we're here again. God has forced me into this position, or I've forced myself by my own sin. I have no idea, but here's what happened. I had an offer on the table for a year-long series, a lot of deliverables, and it was a good offer. And I kind of asked for a little bit more because I wanted to do a bigger series and I wanted to actually make a profit from it. If I was going to do a year-long series at that level, I wanted to make sure that I was going to make money from it and not just be struggling, right? Because you can do something huge and still be struggling. And that's where I was for the 50 States Marathons, with the hitchhiking. And so I just wanted to put something out there, right? They did not take the offer. They came back with something that was half of what the offer initially was. And that was a hit to my pride. But then I think as well, it was like a, are you serious? For everything that I've done and who I am and just what I stand for, and you don't have faith that I'll be able to pull together a series, right? If I'm not delivering the views, you can always just cancel the contract. But we need more companies that are having faith in their creators, that are actually interested in seeing people succeed, not just in seeing the number on the screen go up, right? Their sales, because that's the thing. The company that I was supposed to work with, that's all that they care about. That's what she told me on the call. Well, today I hop on the call, and it's the third and final call, right? I thought that we were supposed to set things in order and start moving forward with the series this year. Strategy has changed, right? Hey, we can do a one-off campaign and maybe 2 others. So basically, we aren't interested in partnering with you, and because you're too expensive, fair enough, because we don't believe that you can, get the views. That doesn't make sense, but just based off of who I am and the content that I do and what I've done in the past, what I've shown to have worked. And who is this person that comes in out of nowhere to say that to me? Man, it's tough, but at least I'm put in a corner, right? To where the offer that they gave me today was nothing, right? And it was something. I got to be grateful for the fact that it was something that she even hopped on the call with me because of, all the different times where I was asking for too much or whatever it is, right? Just trying to have a spine behind me. But because there's this pattern where it's here it was, I tried to increase it for a bigger series. They cut it in half because, she has a different strategy. Then the strategy changes again, and then they cut it down completely after I didn't accept that one offer the second time. So here it is, the third time I'm ready to accept the offer, and then it just gets pulled out. And so maybe that's God saying hey, slowly, I'm going to harden the heart of this company so that they don't work with you. Maybe that's God saying, hey, I gave you the opportunity, and then you said no. And then I gave it to you again, and you said no. And so this is all that's left. Whatever it is, I'm here now. And inevitably, this is what I felt was going to happen. It's just that, God's going to put me in a spot to really build something, pull the best out of me, and not just give me tons of resources to go throw away like I did on the hitchhiking series, right? That was the thing I had to get clear on with my conscience, is that when the sponsorships were locked in, I wasn't hungry, and so I didn't post any videos. And so then there was a whole 4 months of content that just went down the drain. That's a lesson I got to continually learn, is that if it doesn't get posted today, it will never get posted. I have to just be more intuitive on posting in the moment. If it doesn't get posted, then I shouldn't film that style of content, or I should film it, but just expect it to not get posted, right? Until I have the resources to pay someone to edit it well. So here we are. I am backed into a corner because I thought I was going to have a sponsor to pay for the 50 States round 2, the year of the marathon. And I don't, right? And then there was another sponsorship on the table. And for whatever reason, we thought that relationship was good. I was very excited when I talked with the other company in person. They just ghosted us, me and my agent. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, are these I'm making high quality content. I have this reputation, but I guess because I don't accept sponsorships that often, maybe less brands reach out to me because they're like, oh, well, he must have some way that he pays for it. I don't know. Maybe I have dug my own hole in this, but maybe this was an inevitable thing that was going to happen just because of how I'm wired. I make decisions that kind of force me out of these partnerships and force me to take action on my own. Maybe that's what I do, right? Maybe that's just the type of person I am. So who knows if this is God, putting this on me, or if it's just me and it's the inevitable consequence of my decisions. That I will always find myself in the position where I'm on my hands and knees asking God for help to start my own business and get through. So if we are there, I apologize, God, for all of my sin, right? Because I fall short all the time. And maybe I've called this on myself. I also apologize if your plan was for me to go accept the first offer or accept the second offer, and I didn't. And I'm sorry, So I give it up to you, God. I apologize, and I know that you can redeem the situation. And God can redeem the situation. He can use anything for his glory, right? And so here we are. If I was going to get here inevitably, I'm here now. I have one mission in mind this year: to build the best shorts company that there is on the market for running shorts and athleisure, right? That way, and it's more specifically, celebrating runners by taking the marathon ribbon and sewing it into their shorts, right? So that's where I am, and today's day one. I'm making it happen, right? Here it is. Maybe you need a dream, a challenge so big that you have no time to get spiritually sidetracked. So maybe this is God saying like, hey, you know what? You're too sidetracked. You're not disciplined enough. I'm going to give you this obstacle. And is it God saying this, or is this just the situation that has caused me to fall to this level because I'm not disciplined, because I'm not focused, because I'm not, because I'm procrastinating, whatever it is? Only God will know. But what I do know is that I'm here. I have to leave. I've got to move forward. The way to do that is to build the best company. So I got to promote the heck out of these shorts. Every marathon that I run is based around these shorts. My whole mission is to do the 50 States Marathons again, to make this shorts company a reality so that I can go sponsor someone to do it next year, to become an example in the business space of a different way of running companies, built to own, not built to sell. We don't need founders who have worked their butt off to make a very valuable machine. We don't need founders to cash in on that and then drink mimosas on the beach somewhere. Because then every time we do that, we're just giving up control to big money, big power, the powers that be, the massive conglomerate that just keeps sucking up all the life that's there. There is no life when it exists just to make money for its investors. There's no life because there's no relationships, right? Why is there no relationships? Because it is strictly based on how much money can we squeeze out of this vehicle. The company is the vehicle. The people that operate it are the heart. And when there's no heart, there's no life. And so then you can squeeze all of that extra juice out of it, and it's almost like a parasite. You keep it alive just so that you can feed off of it, not so that it can live and generate other living things, right? All these founders, they could put people in place that make a ton of money to run their companies for them, where they don't have to make any of the decisions, and they still have ownership, and they make a ton of money, and they don't cash out all at once. They just, they own this vehicle that produces money over time, and they have the decisions of how they can use that money. And then they put it towards productive projects and investing in small businesses, or, helping out the local community, giving opportunity to people, really investing in their employees, giving their employees a chance at owning a home one day, right? You're not going to get that when the company is sold to private equity. That is a guarantee, almost a guarantee. So I start here. Today's day one of building Zeus shorts. I'm Wyatt Moss. I'm going to make it happen if God allows, Man, the challenge so big it would only be possible with God. Well, here it is. How am I going to pay for it? I mean, it's not healthy what I'm doing with my credit. And I can get resources to keep me afloat. People trust in me. I know I can get these pre-orders. There really is no downside of going all in. I've got my risks covered. Could most people do this? I don't know, because I don't know if you're in the same position that I'm in, right? So you have to be very careful. Don't see this as man, he really went all in. I am going all in. I am taking on this risk. But there are certain things where, if I had to go back to college, it would be paid for, right? By the just smart investing from my parents in the 529 or whatever it's called, the college account, right? Some people don't have that opportunity. For a long time, I've thought, man, I need to give all that money away. I need to donate it. I'm going to go, give it to my sister. I'm going to send it to whoever because I can't have that, right? But that's the equivalent of God giving me in the 10 talents. That's the equivalent of the guy getting the 10 gold bars and shoving it in the dirt. And God said, what did you do? I gave you this so that you could go use it. And you just buried it in the dirt. So that's the equivalent of me receiving something and then throwing it all away because I don't want to be burdened with the moral responsibility that comes with that. Well, that's the easy way out, And it's hard to talk about it because there's some type of evil that's associated with people who have inherited some type of good financial situation. Well, if we villainize that across the board in perpetuity, then no one will ever succeed, right? Or anyone who ever does succeed will get their head cut off, which means that there will never be anyone who's benevolent that will have the resources to actually benefit the whole. I want to be the benevolent person. I want to be the good person. That, yes, I've been born into a situation where me taking on this risk is a risk. It is very much a risk. And I see the balance on my credit card and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 0% for 15 months. But if I do not pay that off, I'm going to have to go hustle for nonstop for weeks to make this work. And I'm willing to do that. And I'm able to do that because I don't have those pressing matters necessarily. If I had to go back to college, I would be able to. That way I could go work a second job and pay it off. You see what I mean? So, yeah. I don't know. I think for anyone watching this video, hopefully this will be an inspiring story. Oh, he built a company. He's helping people out. He really followed through on his word, right? We picked the right guy. We supported the right guy. We voted with every purchase for the right company. Hopefully that's the story that you hear from this. You can keep me honest by bringing this video back up and showing it to me in 5 years when I'm sailing on the yacht and you're like, you weren't supposed to buy a yacht. I'm just kidding. I'm never going to buy a yacht, Lord willing. I hope I never fall to that level. Because you don't need a yacht. I might buy a boat. But even then, I don't know, that's just not my cup of tea. So for people watching this, they're like, okay, well, I could never do that. It's you have no idea what God can do through you. You have no idea what God could do through you. So don't count yourself out, right? And don't look at this as oh, well, of course that guy's going to make it happen. I could fail entirely, right? There's other guys who have had way worse starts than me that have made it happen, way better than me. Ultimately, at the end of the day, don't come up with any excuse that, quote unquote, absolves you from your moral responsibility to take action, to put the world in order. That's what's key. Don't let anything cause you to become a victim, right? My victim mentality was man, I've been given this money from my college fund that I don't want to have to deal with that. And so I'm going to drop out of college and I'm going to give it all away. And, but that's a resentful attitude on life. That is the Cain in the Cain and Abel story, right? Versus, man, I've been given such a great life. And if I don't live up to that responsibility, I have caused a gaping hole in the world because I didn't live up to my moral responsibility. There are people who die to be where I am, right? They would kill to be where I am. And so if I don't live up to it every single day, well, then I'm doing a disservice to all of them. So that's the other side of the equation. If you're in my situation where you're like, man, I've been born into a good family, right? Nothing crazy, right? But at least enough to where your college was paid for and then you're able to go start a life debt-free. And if you ever needed to go back to your parents' house, they would always have a room for you, right? Well, that's a really great situation. What if every family was like that? That would be awesome. Man, is that possible? Well, if we villainize people who are in that situation, then no one will ever want to become like that. So no, it's not possible if we stick to the current level of our attention, our understanding, our villainization. I think what we've done is we've seen people who have those resources, but in excess, super rich, throw it all away. And then now we've villainized that And I think that there's something there, right? If someone is born into all this wealth and then there's parties all their life and then he throws it all away, of course that's a terrible thing to do. But that's what I'm saying. So it's even more important for the people who are born into a somewhat decent financial situation to shoulder their moral responsibility and stomach the fact that they were born into this and that that's what they're called to do, and to make it public so that people don't villainize it. They understand that, like, you know what, there are good people out in the world, people who are actually trying to support others, and like not everyone is a manipulator, not everyone is evil, right? At the end of the day, I'm going to start a shorts company. I'm going to see where it goes. God can work through me. So, God, I ask that you would bless this opportunity and open doors if it is your will, and that you would give me that gut feeling and that overwhelming peace to be able to make this happen according to how you would see it happen. Allow me to be a blessing to others and a light. Let your light shine through me, right? Let people see you through how I live my life. That way, ultimately, because none of this money matters, none of this world matters, ultimately, people discover you through me. That would be cool. That's an inspiring vision. I want to do that. I want people to discover Jesus through me. Boom. Maybe that's all I have to do in my life. Okay, that's cool. Let's do that. I gotta post this video. Day 1. Why not us?